Hello, and thank you so much for joining us for your Smackdown and AEW Rampage post-show. We're throwing it into the way back machine a little bit here. We've got AEW Rampage and Smackdown to talk about today. Very excited about this because we are heading to Wembley. We did notice that after Rampage ends, viewership goes up. So especially with these more important Rampages, we wanted to be able to include those into the fold here. So get in those super chats. Get in those humper chats. We got 2 shows to talk about tonight. We're also going to remind you to subscribe to FightfulSelect.com, where returning Kevin Owens was announced before. Sean broke the paywall, so can I say. But you can go to Fightful Select, check out some more spoilers, the rundown, more news on Edge, of course, and the big match that came out of there. So much more going into Wembley. All the CM Punk drama you can get your dirty little hands on, and so much more at FightfulSelect.com. You'll also get me and Alex Pulowski doing pay-per-view post shows behind the paywall, which we will be doing for All In as well as a ton of other great add-on podcasts and added value in there. So go check it out. And we're going to check out what happened on Smackdown and AEW Rampage tonight. And who better to do that with than our own Alex Cardoza. Alex, how are you doing?
I'm so happy to be back. I apologize for missing last week.
Do better.
It's one of those rare occasions where, I'm still drinking the tea to make sure the voice is nice and sweet for you wonderful people here, including Kate.
Oh, well, thank you. We're glad to have you back. But we do thank Stephanie Hypes for filling in. She was great on what was a very eventful episode of SmackDown with everything going on with Jey Uso. And we had so much more to talk about today with the Edge. Is he retired? Is he not? A very emotional main event. A really nice set of tributes paid in this as well. So a lot going on. A lot of chatter about where he may end up. I think this was a little bit more surprising news. I think people knew his contract was coming up, but maybe not this quick. So interesting stuff happening in the world of wrestling. And we are going to start, of course, with SmackDown because of that Edge news. Now, this got a lot of time on the show tonight, and I do normally go like in chronological order, but we're going to acknowledge what happened with Edge kind of up front here, the emotional match with Sheamus. These guys, man, considering like they haven't ever shared a ring together and how crazy that is, boy, oh boy, did they have just like incredible chemistry. It was just a really nice match to see. And we'll talk about like the details of it when we get closer to the main event. But overall, Edge's story is so special because of the way he had to retire, the fact he got to come back at all, the role he's played, the iterations of Edge that we've gotten for all the years and years that he's been doing this. He's really, really, really given a lot to the industry. And it was just very cool to see him kind of get his dues, and for it to just be happening on a regular SmackDown is something that's really interesting. So I loved it. He didn't put Sheamus over, which I think leaves the door open a little bit to maybe he's not retired. Maybe he's got one more match in him in front of 80,000 people. We'll find out. Or maybe he resigns and this is all a Mark Henry situation. But we will find out. What were your thoughts on the main event and any Edge matches or memories that you can think of or want to share?
Yeah, emotional to be completely honest. I've watched him my entire like teenager into adult life, so when you have that kind of connection with someone that you've never really met in real life, you've kind of just grown up and watched them on television. It's kind of weird and surreal to know that they might not be on your television, at least in the WWE side, if he decides not to be on television, maybe behind the scenes, whatever he likes to do. But yeah, and then obviously for me, it was just growing up in that era. I worked at Toys R Us, so I was always looking forward to getting the new Edge toys, the Hardy Boys, the Dudleys, like, all those incredible matches that they had when I was growing up as the Brood. I mean, we were spoiled, and we've been spoiled for 25 years. So even throughout that whole hiatus with his neck, he, climbed right back up. So it's insane. It's just insane. I have no real like big words because it's just like he's really, you can tell Beth was crying. Like, this was it.
Yeah, this was a really emotional main event. And normally I kind of like take note of my favorite spots or little things like that or points of chemistry. And this was one of those ones I would just encourage you to go back and watch from beginning to end, because the moment was so much bigger than anything that kind of happened between the ropes here. I am someone that started watching in 2009. So I generally, compared to my peers, because I'm in my mid-30s, like everybody else started watching kind of more in the prime of his era, Rated R Superstar. Like, I didn't know anything about him and Lita until way into my adulthood. But what's cool is, like, I've said it before too, and not to put a negative light on anything, but like a lot of the Attitude Era stuff doesn't really connect with me because it is a little bit more dated. So when I go back,
calling me old,
I'm calling it old.
I'm just saying. By the way, on top of what you just mentioned, I also learned about, smoochy sexy time with him and Lita in the middle of a ring on a random Monday Night Raw. You know what I'm saying?
Live sex show is what introduced you to the birds and the bees conversation. I like it, but a lot of that stuff does read as very dated, but a lot of Edge's stuff, like even kind of in those more controversial angles or whatever you want to call it, he was just always really good at storytelling aspect, and it never kind of like lost its way despite like some of the real life trauma that was going on or whatever. I feel like he always came across as a really great and believable storyteller, and there's not a whole lot from the prime of the era he was in that I feel like is kind of more timeless. And I feel like he really is one of those more timeless performers. And when I do go back and watch, I find myself watching a lot of his work from that time. So, and just someone who realistically, like, we're getting to see kind of these second runs from Edge and Danielson and Saraya here a little bit. I think she's in a little bit maybe more tentative of a spot because she's still got some stuff going on. But, he retired what felt like way too young. One of the things I do remember watching with him was just being so heartbroken because he just didn't look ready to hang it up. Like, it just didn't look like he was ready to walk away from it. So for him getting to come back and have more time, for him getting the Royal Rumble reaction that he got, my God, I mean, after the pandemic and other than CM Punk's comeback, like, I don't know if we've heard louder receptions in the past couple decades here. Like, that was huge. So very cool.
He had that pandemic match with Randy Orton, that like feud with him that just went back and forth. They did the greatest match ever in pro wrestling history. Like, they did, he went to the house, and that was just insane in an era where we didn't know what was happening in the world. We were entertained, and he did that. You know what I'm saying? It's pretty great.
And I do feel like he's always just been one of those more believable promos too. Like, even in some of the stuff, like Judgment Day stuff is not necessarily for me, even in the areas he was in it and out of it. I feel like he really brings like a grounded sincerity to all of his promos. When he was in the title picture for when Seth Rollins was reintroducing his title, like, he gave some really great just like social media promos that you're like, man, this guy just immediately draws you in with his promo style. He's so believable. I always appreciate wrestlers that sound like they're talking like human beings. Like, I'm someone who prefers that to like the WWE cadence of delivering a promo. Like, I like the ones that are a little bit more natural sounding. So his style
talking about, Kate?
Is for me. You bitch. So he's someone that just I feel like really can make stories feel very real and important and kind of create them where there aren't any. And I feel like that's a really, really skilled performer. And some of my favorite highlights from this past go around, even though the Judgment Day stuff was not for me. His whole trilogy with Seth Rollins, I felt like was great. All three of those matches felt so incredible, so different. Obviously, what do you even say about like him and Danielson and Roman? Like, just really, really incredible moments, and still performing at such a high level at this age. So really great second kind of chapter of his career. And I'm just so glad that he got to come back and do it. If this is in fact the end, we don't really know. He didn't put Sheamus over. We don't know what's coming up. Obviously, Wembley's around the corner. If he did want to make a jump to AEW, even for just one appearance, you got Christian sitting right there. If he wants to re-sign with WWE in a performer capacity, run back him and Sheamus all day. This match was wonderful. I think he has an incredible mind for this too. It seems like if he wants to hop behind the scenes, or darn it, if he just wants to go home and hang out with his awesome wife, God bless him. But what contributions to this professional wrestling industry. We really he's a really integral player and kind of bridging the gap between a few generations. And what a body of work. The best way to kind of encapsulate moments like this, I always feel like, is to go back and watch old matches. So go ahead and do that. And super chat and humper chat your memories if you want to share them with us. We got a few of those coming in, which I think is awesome. Will Kism, who's been so supportive of us lately, thank you so much for all this.
Thank you,
I was watching this match with tears. My 4-year-old daughter asked why I was crying, and I said part of it is like, this could be it. Yeah, exactly. And the other part was that I'm getting old. Like,
I feel like at the end of the match, this should have played My Way by Frank Sinatra, because he did it his way. He went out his way. Whether, Sheamus was like, I'm not gonna pin you, bro. Are you serious in Toronto? Like, I'm gonna pin you? No, like,
yeah,
come on.
A very cool way to leave the door open. I'm kind of like, I don't know if Alter Bridge is on tour or not, but I feel like if they knew this was coming for even like more than a day, which they did, it would have been really cool to have Alter Bridge play him out live. That's the only thing I might have changed, but I'm a big live entrance gal and a big music gal, so that is just me. We've got Ryan Fields weighing in saying it would be crazy if Edge tags with Dax because of the Cash situation. No way TK can let Cash go with those allegations. We're not going to speculate on any of that. We do know that there are no travel restrictions in place as of earlier today when Sean was reporting it. So that doesn't seem at this moment like it's affected. We can talk about that if you choose to super chat and humper chat about it. Please just do so with taste, because otherwise we'll just take your money and not read it. We'll ask you to say something else.
And last but not least on that, it's just like, can we just let wrestlers do whatever the hell they want? Like, let's stop speculating on like, oh, he needs to get permission from this, or he's never gonna go there.
Online legal expert stuff needs to
can we
just with Edge? You mean
even with Edge, like let's just let it be. Like, these are humans. Let them do whatever the F they want to do, bro. Like,
I mean, I get it to the point of wanting to fantasy book stuff. I think it gets weird when people decide what should make people happy.
I get my hate on X is getting so much bigger. I love it. I'm embracing it. At first, I was like, what am I doing wrong? But now I am rolling with the punches and actually leaning into it and pressing those buttons.
Well, try being a girl on there. It'll change your
Okay, when do I start? I mean, 2023, I could be a girl tomorrow morning.
Fightful is for everyone, man. We'll take it. But Taylor Cannon saying, I got to say my favorite memory of Edge was when he returned at Rumble, because I was so happy he was able to return. That is like, and I think anytime anybody has to retire because of injury, it's just so unfair that it doesn't get to happen on their terms. And with a neck injury like Edge had at such a young age too, it felt like he had more to give. So the fact that he got to come back and give that was really special. It was really, really special. And Taylor also saying, hello, Miss Kate and Alex 2.0. Hope you are both well this Friday evening. To be honest, I had kind of a rotten day, but always made better.
We're here to make it better for you.
By you.
God
wonderful
damn it. Oops, sorry.
People. That's okay. We're at the 5-minute mark. It's all right.
Just got demonetized.
Orion Ben saying, no mirror Alex Edge entrance. Boo. Hi, Kate. Well, hi, Orion Ben. Thank you so much for chiming in with your support. And we'll keep those Edge memories coming along all day, all night here. They can be memories about Edge from you too, if you want. Like, you can do that. We're not going to go into other places that word can lead us, but we've got sponsors that'll probably contribute to that. But Wilkinson's saying, I'm still sad we never got Edge versus Brock. That's an interesting one, because I don't want to see Edge versus Brock post this neck injury thing. That is just an uncomfortable thing for me. I am not a doctor. I have no place to say who somebody should be fighting or not. But I have a hard time enjoying matches when that kind of stuff is in the back of my head. Bryan Danielson concussion spots, not the target audience for that. Like, I hate that stuff. And there's a lot of wrestlers, especially of late, that I feel like are incredible in-ring injury sellers. Ricky Starks, high. Kevin Owens, high. MJF, but his are usually the knee, so it's a little less cringy. But it's like neck and head stuff, I just get very nervous. So that with Brock Lesnar would make me nervous as a fan. But considering like who they are as wrestlers, I can completely understand the appeal of that. Do you feel like we got robbed out of a Brock and Edge feud?
Nah. We don't need absolutely everything in the world to like be, booked or people to face each other. I think it went perfect. Brock is great. I think there's certain people that you can feed to Brock, and if you notice in the last couple of years, he's been, dead set on like yearly feuds with one person at a time. So he definitely did not need Edge, and Edge was such an enigma on his own, and anything that he touched was just perfect and turned to gold. I never really thought of anything outside of like maybe the Vicky Guerrero stuff that I thought was, kind of crazy. And then obviously his personal life with that whole Lidl and Matt thing, that was amazing too. Because I mean, who wouldn't want real life drama,
right?
Vince took that and said, "Damn it, you're gonna fight on TV," So.
Well, first he said, "I'm gonna fire the wrong guy and then hire him back, and then you're gonna fight on TV." But that's a whole other can of worms for another time. But all three of them did a great job bringing that to life. I can't argue with that. Arza 288 saying, "I'm glad that if this is the end, Edge got to end it not with a doctor's order, but on his own terms." Agreed. I think that's the biggest kind of takeaway and a really great way to say it. I really appreciate that. Kylie, our friend, saying, "Also much love to Kate and Alexis. Y'all are awesome." Kylie, you are awesome.
No, this is the way the kids are doing it now.
Like this. I thought you were going to go to Aussie, like this. Aussie open mode, but we'll get there too. Vincent Moore saying, "I remember the 90s Edge with Christian and Gangrel was one of my favorite Edge moments." Got the Brood in there. And the feud with the Hardys and Dudley Boys, I mean, helped main event tag team wrestling. It sure did. And of course, ushered in an entire match stipulation and style in a way that is pretty unforgettable. The Aftermath Pro Wrestling Podcast saying, "I was at New Year's Revolution, the first ever cash in, which Edge won cashing in on John Cena in 2006.
Wow.
How could I leave that out in
That's
all of
crazy.
our Edge talk? The Money in the Bank grandfather was one of the most memorable ones, of course, because of that. But I think, he's really been kind of the pioneer of a lot of stuff that sneaks under the radar a little bit. I think people consider him synonymous with the ladder match, obviously, in tag team wrestling for sure. But there's a good memory. If you want to hit up like the biggest Edge fan in the world, our own Robert DeFelice is like the biggest Edge guy ever. Hit him up at Dude Felice on Twitter. He will give you all the best matches he's ever had, all the best memories you could ever think of. And just really like, that's his guy, he's one of those. So good stuff. Let's dive into SmackDown. Please keep sending in your memories of Edge. I always love hearing about personal connections to wrestlers and favorite moments and things like that, especially for wrestlers who like kind of the bulk of their career was before I was watching, because it gives me little windows, little insight into things. I didn't love a lot of the rest of this episode, but this was kind of the hallmark of this episode. We did get some good stuff, but a lot of like double-edged swords on this episode. A lot of talent that I wanted to see, a lot of matches getting a lot of time, which is something I'm rooting for. But not the way I would go about maybe telling some of the stories here. So let's start off. We have your new U.S. champion, Rey Mysterio, with Santos Escobar on the Grayson Waller effect. Santos Escobar doing a great job of selling that leg injury from last week with the brace on his knee. Grayson Waller comes out and congratulates Rey Mysterio for winning the U.S. title. Mysterio said it felt great to be a 3-time U.S. champion. And Grayson Waller does what he does and starts to prod about, could they be co-champions? Like starting to needle at Escobar, who tells Waller to shut up and puts Rey over pretty heavily here, calls him a mentor, says that he's proud of him. And then Austin Theory's music hits. And Theory comes down in his gear, of course, with a microphone. Waller says Theory says that Escobar wasn't man enough to face him. And I don't know if like an Austin Theory return shot is what I would do with this guy after such a not so great reign. But what happens next, in my opinion, is worse. Adam Pearce comes down to the ring and he says nobody wants to hear Theory complain. And then LA Knight appears out of nowhere and congratulates Rey and says he's coming for that title at some point. Puts himself over for having won the 24-man, I'm going to call it the Meat Rumble because it's late on a Friday and we can get a little silly about it. But the Slender James Battle Royal, the Slim Jim Battle Royal, and Theory says that they should have a match for the title. And here's why I don't think this is a great idea. I feel like they set themselves up for a no-win situation at all. If you have Austin Theory lose, it's like continuing to be like, hey, what the heck are we doing with Austin Theory, right? And if you have LA Knight lose, my apologies, you're once again having probably your hottest organic babyface on the roster lose. If you have Austin Theory win, it's kind of like you just had him drop the title because things weren't working and now he's getting a return shot, right? And I just feel like there's two bad scenarios that you can create. One where neither guy should lose. That's kind of what I was saying about Edge and Brock, right? Like, who do you actually have lose in that feud is one thing. And then there's a situation where neither guy should win. Because if LA Knight wins here, are you going to have him beat Rey Mysterio? I don't think so. If he's going to lose to Rey Mysterio, that feels like a waste of a title shot. So all this feels kind of messy to me. We do have The Miz on commentary for this match, which tells you everything you need to know about how this match is going to go. He was really good on commentary, though. I love him leaning into this LA Knight as a flash in the pan. Calls him Fandango without the dance boots, Eugene without the crayons. Like, really, really good stuff from The Miz here. Kind of the most valuable use of The Miz in a while. Like, this has been a productive story, so I like that about it. But cutting to the finish, we have The Miz jumping on the ring apron and LA Knight turning his attention to The Miz because he's apparently an idiot. Until Knight lands a DDT on Austin Theory. Knight goes to the outside and chases The Miz everywhere until Knight clotheslines The Miz to the floor. Theory rolls up LA Knight with a handful of tights for the win. I don't need to see LA Knight in another title shot here, especially this rendition of him. I feel like him winning with a fistful of tights just makes him feel like still unworthy of the title. Like, he's never really had any convincing wins here because he's always cheating. And he keeps kind of talking about how great he is. And he just keeps proving that he's not actually that great when he gets like wins in this way. That was a lot to throw at you. But let's talk about the promo and the match that we got here. What were your thoughts on this kind of first half hour of Raw or SmackDown, I guess?
Yeah, with Austin Theory, I do believe that maybe as he chases for something, he kind of feels a little bit more like needed as a heel, right? Because him with the belt was very lackluster, but him chasing, you can tell that kind of changes things a little bit. He's a little bit more vocal. He's able to attack whomever. He gets these cheap ass wins like he did today, which I know you don't like. But at the same time, what's a better heel way to win than cheap ass little wins, right? That'll just continue to. I know storyline ways, and
clean wins ever.
No clean wins. There's no clean wins in Heelville in WWE.
That's my problem, though. Like,
I know, well, but it keeps the fans entertained. All 17,000 today in the stadium. I do say this. I'm looking at the other side of things with LWO, and God, my gut feeling is telling me something's coming. Like, if you're a wrestling fan, you've been, you can tell the subtle hints. You can tell something. And I feel it in the air. I could be 1,000% wrong, but God, like, what's going on with the team there with this belt? Like, who knows? I'm not gonna say anything. I'm not gonna put it out there because if I put it in the universe, it might happen. But I think LA Knight, this might be his first gold belt to wear it for the company and like bury it and see where it goes. And I think that with the Miz involved, Theory, LA Knight, they might put all these guys in a ring and just let them all kill each other, because that way, hear me out, you don't have someone look less than strong when you have a 5-way or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And whoever you pin wins the match. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's definitely a protected way to go. You could easily do the Miz, LA Knight, Austin Theory, and Rey for like a 4 corners match. You definitely could set that up here. I don't know if that's where we are going to go. I just don't feel like it felt like Austin Theory's reign never clicked in. And to me, part of the reason it never clicked in was he didn't have convincing wins. He had a win against John Cena, who didn't care, just very clearly didn't care. Ruined him on the mic, from which he never recovered. Like, all of his matches and feuds were pretty forgettable in that reign. So when he dropped it, I was like, finally, an opportunity for this guy to go away and get repackaged. And now they're just sending him out here being a chasing heel.
That's what they're gonna do. That's what they're gonna do. I don't think he's gonna
in like 3 minutes to an opponent who wasn't prepared to face him.
I know, and I don't think he's gonna win this title back. They're gonna flip flop it around here, and it's gonna be LA Knights. Obviously, like, this guy's hotter than hell. Like, why wouldn't you put something on him? And if this is
I think it's gonna be Dominic Mysterio.
Oh God!
I think he's gonna drop the NXT title and then come back up and beat his dad,
or combine them.
No, people have been saying that. I feel like they know that the North American title, because let's not forget, the 205 Live title and the North American title are already a combined title now in NXT. They need that mid-card title in NXT. Like, they need it from a storytelling purpose. It's their most protected title. It's their workhorse title. Like, they need it from the perspective of the show desperately needs this title. So I don't think they go that way. And I do think Mustafa Ali beats Dominic Mysterio for it. Sooner rather than later, based on what they're building out there.
So you bring main roster people down to NXT and give them the belt. That's kind
of what we're, got it. Okay. Mustafa Ali, a free agent. We saw how important the draft has been. Mustafa Ali. Now, Mustafa Ali and Rey Mysterio, done that all day, please. But I just don't know, man. Like, you have Austin Theory lose his multi-month title at a 3-minute match on a random SmackDown to an opponent who wasn't prepared for him after he took out his best friend, so he should kind of be prepared for Rey. And then you have him with this return shot. Just doesn't click for me. It doesn't click for me.
Are they protecting Santos, you think? You think they're protecting him?
Maybe. I'll say this. Santos is incredibly over as a face. He was a heel a lot of his NXT run, and he's a fantastic heel. So if they want him to turn on Rey, he can pull it off. But I feel like the LWO is really, really successful. And you also have a lot of stables in WWE right now, which I'm someone that likes that. I think it's a very natural story to have, like, my friends don't like your friends because you were mean to me, is like a very, very normal, relatable, clean storytelling device. So I'm pro stables, especially before Survivor Series, right? Like, if you're going to do Survivor Series matches, it really helps to have stables running around. So I don't know. Like, I don't know if you want to split up something that's working, but I also feel like there's a lot of mileage in Santos Escobar versus Rey Mysterio. Like, there's some really, really good juice in them facing each other, like, for months on end. I would not be mad about it. So throughout the show, we get these nice tributes to Edge. We get some video packages from Cody and AJ Styles and Bayley and Ricochet and KO later, sending in their thanks to Edge. Here in the show, we also get Michael Cole just putting him over, speaking affectionately about it. And we get a little video montage with Kevin Patrick. But we move on to another thing that I was excited about, the talent involved. Excited this match got a lot of time. Just did not love the booking in this, unfortunately. Bayley and Dakota Kai making their entrance as Damage Control. Bayley with the microphone introducing your women's champion, Io Skye, setting up a tag team match against Charlotte and Bianca Belair. Now, I have a few issues with the way that this went. There was a really good in-ring for the most part, save a spot where Charlotte went for a hot tag and missed it. I don't really know how that quite happened. But we get Bianca with the KOD on Bayley for the win, ultimately. And here's my complaint with this. Not only did you have your world champion lose, and I know Bayley's the one who got the pin, but like they've actually been a unit the whole time. I feel like when two people, especially two people that don't like each other, like Charlotte and Bianca Belair, beat people that are supposed to be tag team wrestlers and have been a unit for a while, that just looks bad all over the place. Like, I just don't have an interest in seeing this combination either, because we've already seen Bianca versus Damage Control run into the ground during her title reign over and over and over again. And it's supposed to be two people that have animosity towards each other versus your world champion who doesn't take the pin but loses here, and someone she's been aligned with for over a year. This just doesn't work. It doesn't make sense. I don't like the booking here, but the match was great. You have four of the best performers in the world. Bianca always looks amazing with the KOD. Bayley is one of the most selfless in-ring performers ever, ever, ever. I absolutely adore that. I'm glad Dakota's sticking around, even though she's not cleared to wrestle. And I love Skye getting reps on my television, but she's your champion. And much like Asuka, kind of feels like the accessory in all of this, which I don't like one bit. What were your thoughts on what we got here?
I like how they're putting Io front and center, like, she's coming out to her own entrance, making her feel like a world champion, which is something that they don't do very well often. They often kind of fumble that. They fumbled the hell out of Asuka for the second or third time now with that, kind of making her the eighth wheel and everything. So for me, it was a good, strong entrance. Other than that, this match was a little bit all over the place for me. Like, why would you put these pieces and, not have your world champion kind of like, be the dominant one in all of this? But I mean, because that would not go down if Charlotte was champion. So yeah, the age-old question, here we go again. Where are we going with this? What are we gonna do? I want them to keep. I wish they keep Io. I would love for her to stay in this and be strong, but with rumblings of somebody else who just got brought back to the company, like, what are we doing?
Agreed with that. I think the name being Kyrie might be on her way back, which is very exciting. So
I had no idea.
That's a possibility.
I heard about that.
I also kept waiting for. This is tricky to explain because I kept waiting for WWE to do the thing that they do, and I don't necessarily like it, but it would have made sense from a story perspective. I kept waiting for either Shotzi to come and torment Bayley, and her to be the loss causer.
Is that over with now?
I don't think so, because you weren't here last week.
No,
there was more of that. There was more of Shotzi tormenting Bayley, so I thought her causing the distraction, which it's kind of like you can't complain that the food is bad and the portions are too small, right? I complained about overbooking on the show all the time, and now I'm saying where's the overbooking? So I understand my own hypocrisy in that, but for the way WWE tells stories, I was kind of expecting Shotzi to come down and do that. And I was also wondering if we were going to get Asuka doing a run in here and maybe on the side of Io, because that might be a good next move for her since they really kind of threw everything else out the window. So I don't like overbooking, I was kind of expecting all these things to happen, but instead, nope, you just have Bianca pinning Bayley, which was a little bit weird. Arza saying that every Money in the Bank women's champion is booked the same. You're right. It's like we had a cash in that lasted longer than 24 hours, and that is good. That is progress. It seems like they were at least thinking of a story there. I also feel like if the idea is that Io's going to get pissed at Bayley because Bayley was the one that lost, like, how many times are we going to go to this well before it's a boy who cried wolf thing, right? Like, we have all the teases of the breakup happening. We have it twice in the Money in the Bank ladder match where they cost each other and don't capitalize on it there. I thought maybe they were waiting for Dakota to come back. She has a long way to go. So I'm just a little bit confused, but I love all the talent that's involved in this. There was a lot of really great in-ring work, and I'm glad to see women's wrestling getting a lot of time on television. I just wish the champions were made to look a little bit stronger in the process. We've got some more super chats and humper chats coming in. We're going to listen to your Edge memories and favorite moments all night. really, really emotional and celebratory ending to SmackDown tonight, which we are going to get to. But Kylie, the wonderful, beautiful, amazing Kylie, saying, I'm hoping for something with Christian before the end. Me too. I don't think like I need an Edge and AEW entire run. I do find the timing very interesting with Wembley, and I don't even know if it has to be an in-ring thing, but if they wanted to do a totally awesome Christian's not really the champion match, or some sort of promo, or just the moment would be really, really cool. We'll see if they end up doing that, but Christian and Edge obviously been so connected their whole careers, and I'm just loving all the work that Christian is doing right now, man. He's sending his daughter out of the arena for trying to touch his belt and saying that she's not credentialed. I mean, if that's not entertaining for you, I don't know what is.
75% of that WWE promo were Edge and Christian memories. Okay, so slice it however you want it. They couldn't get away from that. They're known for recreating history in their own vision. They can't. This is something that these two are tied together forever.
Definitely. And I think it's awesome because I feel like Edge got to have this really awesome comeback in the company he's in. This Christian renaissance, I think, has been really, really fun. So it would be cool to see them kind of merge again. We've got some more chats coming in. Thank you guys so much for all the support tonight. Well, Kism, circling back to Rey and Santos, saying that I think the end game is Rey versus Santos for the title at Mania, maybe Rumble or WrestleMania. Rumble feels like a good shout from like a time and pacing perspective, and also gives you some more breathing room with the LWO. Like you can have everything be fine for a while and then have Santos start to get angrier and jealous because it should have been his title reign and things like that. So I don't hate that idea at all. And I love the idea of them. Maybe the turn happens at Rumble and the match happens at Mania. I think there's a lot of possibilities there. I just feel like we're also eventually going to see Rey and Dom converge. I just don't know if the title is going to be involved in that. Maybe Dominic costs Rey the title. Could very well be. Some more love for Edge coming in. Thank you guys so much for the support. We always appreciate it. Reese Power saying that Edge video package had me crying. Yeah, there's a lot of there's just a lot of very emotionally real moments in a kayfabe world in that video package. I loved everything that Kevin Owens and Cody and Bayley were chiming in with too. We also got to see some very real feeling flavors of the story that we got tonight with Sheamus and Edge last week about their friendship, and Sheamus putting him over as the only kind of wrestler who bothered to talk to Sheamus when he was kind of first investigating what this insane lifestyle is. So really nice to have Edge kind of get his flowers in real time. And that video package was very well executed, as pretty much all WWE video packages are. They do a great job on the production side. Bizarro Big L. I'm sorry if you're taking big L's. We want big W's for you, Bizarro over there. Saying, hey, Kate and Alex, I will never not pop for Edge, whether he shows up on Collision, All In, takes time off, or comes back with WWE. He deserves to have it, to go out on his own terms. And WWE chill. Announcing 90,000 tickets sold for WrestleMania is petty. It's set up for a 2-day show in a 67,000 stadium. I'm all for wrestling.
Michael Cole was just like so egging it on too. Can you believe it? I was like, whoa.
It's the best. I mean, Tony Khan does it all the time too. They're wrestling promotions.
I love it.
Shots at each other. One of the biggest stars in WWE was busting up Triple H's throne before. So I don't have a problem with that. I think it's perfectly fine. But I understand if people get fatigued by it. I think it's funny because they're wrestling companies, you know what I mean? Really, in that situation, everybody's winning. Like, WrestleMania selling well is a W. Wembley almost selling out. They're, I think, 5,000 tickets away from selling out is a W. Pro wrestling selling well is a win.
Everyone's number one in their respective night. Like, why the hell would people tribalize this? God damn.
It was a really cool week for wrestling last week when Raw, NXT, Dynamite, I think Rampage were all number one in their demographic for their day. And Collision, I don't think was, because Saturday is tough and UFC was on and all that. But like pretty much every weekday but Thursday, which wrestling for Thursdays is usually on streaming services. That's just a good week for pro wrestling, man. Like, I'll take it. And we had all these women's main events happening, and an opening SmackDown last week was a women's segment. Like, really, really healthy stuff in pro wrestling. So don't let whatever issues people are having on Twitter and CM Punk bum you out. Like, wrestling's in a really, really healthy place right now. Will Kism saying, at some point, even if it's years, I hope that Big E, oh, my heart, has a chance to get his comeback if ever possible. P.S. Kate, you say you like live bands. Do you like the time that Cody's band played him out to the ring at the AEW pay-per-view? That was not like the strongest live performance. It's really tricky to get those right from like just a sound perspective, especially with a band and a setup that loud. So not like my favorite of the live performances, but Downstate is great. I've seen Downstate be great a lot of times live. Obviously, the theme is super, super, super over. So I love to see it. But you know what, Alex? We're building toward Wembley, okay? And there's a specific Brit who has not been announced for the card yet, but was at ROH tapings, named Zack Sabre Jr.
Who?
And,
never heard of him. Who do you ever beat?
Zack Sabre Jr.? Oh my God, what did I... I'm so clumsy. I just dropped this Mask Lines album on the ground. Who coincidentally...
that crow's choking.
Has his theme right on this album. Anyway, it's so weird that we're talking about live entrances at wrestling shows
whatsoever.
So weird that we were talking about bands playing live right as I did that. Anyway,
bands make her dance, everyone.
Send ZSJ and Mass Lines, the Mass Lads, to Wembley. That's what I'm saying. I want to hear that theme played live in front of 80,000 people. But I am pro. I just love music. So I like seeing live performances all the time. I think on that same pay-per-view, Jericho had like a choir doing the Judas theme as well.
Yeah.
That was really cool. That was a really, really cool one. But we will keep things moving. Luis missed one of these segments, but there was, after all of the in-ring with Damage Control and Charlotte and Bianca, a backstage attack where Bianca was being interviewed backstage and was attacked by Damage Control. We call it Catarl around here for the Simpsons reference, but Skye hit Bianca's leg with a chair, and Bianca was screaming in agony. I don't know what to make of any of this because I don't know who's a heel and a face anymore.
Tons of knee injuries in WWE. I hope they have a good MCL, ACL repair person.
Agreed.
Because everyone's in a knee brace.
It's true. It's true. Guys, get in your super chats and your humper chats as we move through the show. Most of them have been about Edge, and darn it, they should be. Some really, really incredible and emotional stuff in that main event. If you didn't watch it, we're not really going to get into too many details when we do talk about the main event because it's just a really big moment. The emotions were running high through the crowd. Beth Phoenix was crying. Sheamus and Edge definitely kicked it up a notch. Really, really liked what we got there. So send in your memories and your moments of the Rated R Superstar Edge. But right now we're going to talk about this quick Street Profits and OC match. We got a super chat from Ricardo saying OC has the best pyro in the biz. I think Cody Rhodes might fight you on that. And heel Ricky Starks getting the overkill.
I love heel
pyro.
Ricky Starks pyro, yeah.
It's so great. It just doesn't stop for like 5 minutes. But
that's the best.
We get the Street Profits, who are under the tutelage of Bobby Lashley, right? Who still has not sent me a suit. We'll talk about the match in a second.
I think the suits are over.
Well, hold on. If they're over, that just means they're in the back, and Bobby Lashley can send me one. Listen. Hashtag send Kate a suit, okay? He comes out a couple weeks ago with an entire rack of suits. Beautiful suits. Multi-$1,000 suits. Because the Street Profits are in sweats. You know who else is in sweats? Me, right now, in my suplex hoodie, in my leggings, okay? I could also use a suit to spiff things up. He's out here last week saying it bugs him that the Street Profits aren't living up to their potential. I'm also not living up to my potential because of the lack of wardrobe. So everybody tweet at Fight Bobby or whatever his Twitter handle is and tell him to send me a suit. I will take whatever one is available. I will go to the tailor. I will look great. But Bobby Lashley, all you got to do is send me the suit, man. I know you've got plenty of them. But anyway, we do have a match here, I guess, that we should talk about.
A match?
The OC going for the Magic Killer at the end of this, but Montez Ford breaking it up. And they hit what looks like a new finisher for the win, which I really like. I love when heels and faces turn, and especially ones that are kind of getting like repackaged in this way. Yeah. They change up their moveset too, because they're trying to live up to their potential, right? Like they're trying to readjust things. They've got a new attitude. I like it when teams do things like this and debut new finishers, which I think was really, really fun. This was like a 3-minute match, and the OC aren't doing much of anything because they've been stuck in Karrion Kross, tarot, hot, witchy woman world for a while. But this is a perfectly serviceable use of them. The Street Profits are great. I think this is clicking with Bobby Lashley. Even if he refuses to send me a suit, I still think the angle is working. I got to be objective in my analysis, even though my feelings are hurt by the lack of suit arriving on my door. But really, really good stuff here. I got to say, I miss Cedric and I miss Shelton. I really like those guys. I hope they work their way to the picture here soon. What do you think of this new alignment with the Street Profits and Bobby Lashley? What do you think about him not sending me a suit? And what did you think of this match?
Well, let's start with the suit situation. Even if it's like something that he's sending to the tail, like to the cleaners because he used them, just send it over to Kate at kateneedsasuit.com, P.O. Box 6969.
How did you know my address?
God, I mean, I've been there twice. So let's get that out of the way. Second thing here. Let's talk about this Street Profits and this awesome new like sit down powerbomb frog splash combo. I don't know that I'm just making it up, but it looked pretty cool. The new outfits look pretty cool. I think you're starting to see that gray line creep in here where we don't know what's happening. You have Bobby Lashley coming out and giving you the fisting you, like all that good all that good stuff. Where do we go from here, my friends? I think
you tell me, man. You just took this in a very different direction than
I don't know what you bastards here in the chat are like are thinking, you dirty people, just because it's almost midnight in the East Coast.
That's right.
Let's put it this way. If Bobby Lashley this is his new role, kind of like Jinder Mahal's taking over like the Veer and whomever that other nice fella is that is with him. I'm all for it. And if this is like, if we're gonna start creeping up to like Bobby kind of like maybe the Street Profits kind of mess up a little bit and Bobby decides to start being a little tougher, doing what now? The fisting, everyone loves getting fisted by Bobby Lashley in the arena. I
think here first, folks. Not even a paywall story. Right here on the SmackDown review. My God. It's a fist bump, Alex.
Fist bump me. I'll be honest, man. I'm here for it. I'm here for a Street Profits heel run. I'm here for what Bobby Lashley his work as a heel was always incredible to me.
Yeah.
And I think him being a mouthpiece without kind of having to say much just because of the stature that he brings and who he is, man. And what if Shelton and what's his face get like pissed off about this?
Yeah.
And they're like, yo, what's happening here, dude? I thought we were boys, you know what I'm saying? And I think this will work, man. I think this is great. I think whatever they're planning on doing, because I don't want to speculate, is going to be big. And Bobby Lashley in this new role, I mean, freak yeah, man.
I think everybody should always speculate wildly. That's what I think. Minorva saying, sup, partners? Eddie Kingston, the G1. What happened on Dynamite? I can't with this guy. But this is a contribution to a suit for Kate or a new internet machine and snacks for other Alex.
Give me some snacks. I'm hungry.
For once, I recorded with Alex Pulowski earlier, and his internet was the bad internet. Okay, we recorded Know Your News, and I thought it was me, but it wasn't me. Okay, but people forget Sheamus had a bad back, and that's why they put the bar together. That's right. That's right. Oh, one of the most legendary runs of all time. We will talk more about Mr. Sheamus in a little bit, but feel free to get in all of your super chats and humper chats, talk about Edge or whatever else you want to, including Albert Ponce, who says, "Hi, Kate, which card will have a better fatal four-way women's match, All In or Multiverse of Madness?" And Alex, I will say Santos and LWO will turn on Rey.
I am so for it.
I think you have to have Santos be the one to turn out of that. You can't really turn Rey heel at this stage of his career. Not that he couldn't do it, but I think he's just too universally loved. I don't know, but I do know that I'm going to both shows this weekend. I'm going to the New Japan show and the Multiverse one. I feel like from an in-ring, it'll probably be the Impact one. I think from an overall just like experience moment, etc., that All In Fatal 4-Way is going to be something special. Like when you consider Shida having the title right now. This rendition of Toni Storm is amazing. We're going to talk about it on the Rampage review. Saraya in her home country after everything that happened to her in her young career and her getting to have this comeback run. The reception there is going to be just unbelievable. And Britt, who gave a really nice promo that we'll talk about later tonight too. On Dynamite, she was wearing the jacket that she had at the first All In. And it's really special when you consider this collection of women and what they're going to do there. But man, Julia is something else right now. I'm so excited for that Fatal 4-Way, and those Impact Knockout gals, always bring it. Always bring it. Kylie fisting can be fun. I mean, what the F, Alex? You guys.
Listen.
It's after midnight, okay?
I'm just here for a good time.
The other fella is not Senga. That would be a different tag team. That is Veer.
I was going to call that tag team something completely different. I'm just going to text it to Kate because I think that's just a safe way. I swear it almost like spilled out, and I was like, that's why I said that. That nice fella.
Well, listen, you're talking about Veer. You're talking about all these dirty things. Are Veer and Senga ever coming back? Well, you don't want to have them come too soon. We know that much. And let me tell you, there's only one way to ensure that that's not the case. Veer took Bluechew for months before he debuted on the main roster. We knew he was coming, but it took forever to get there. And my goodness, if you need a little bit of assistance with that, let me tell you.
Is your sex life stuck in developmental? Well, get ready for a call-up with Bluechew.com and the code Fightful. Same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, but how about this? No awkward in-person visits, no trips to the pharmacy. It's shipped straight to your door in a discreet package. But let me tell you, your package is not going to be discreet when you use Bluechew, and the code Fightful helps give you that confidence, that performance to take you straight to the main event, if you know what I'm saying. When approved online by one of our physicians, it just arrives straight to your door. You're not going to have people nosing around with what you're doing. And right now, you get your first shipment free when you use the code Fightful. Go straight to the top. You know what I mean. Memorable performance, high spot, whatever other innuendos you can think of. Bluechew.com and the code Fightful.
Like Sean's innuendos could touch what we have tonight. My God. See what I did there? That's what she said.
My God.
Bluechew.com, code Fightful. And we move right along into more of your Edge memories and some more SmackDown to talk about. Getting those super chats and humper chats if you would be so kind. But saying, I think we already read that one about the Edge video package having you crying. But it's worth reading again because it was an emotional one.
Yeah.
Luis saying that Julia versus Deanna versus Giselle Shaw versus Mama Congo is set up for that Fatal 4 back at Multiverse in Philadelphia, and I'm gonna be there. We move along to this Bloodline video package with Paul Heyman I don't know, man. This is just the most fun. This little interaction between Kayla and Paul Heyman has been like something that they kind of created out of nowhere. Kayla didn't have necessarily like the most distinct personality backstage until those interactions with Paul Heyman, and they are so much fun. We get Kayla asking Paul Heyman for a bloodline update, and he declines. And she says, I've been hearing rumors, okay? I've been listening to Fleetwood Mac. I've been hearing rumors a lot. She doesn't say the Fleetwood Mac reference. That's all me, but it's a great album. Heyman says that Jey Uso abandoned the WWE universe and asked Kayla Braxton about her mom and dad because he said he heard rumors about her family. And I just loved that. I thought that was so fun of like, well, if you're going to talk about my family, I'm going to talk about your family as if he's in the Samoan dynasty. Heyman answering a phone and says that the caller told him that Jimmy Uso will be live on SmackDown next week. So just really, really fun interactions here. Kind of nice to have a week off from the Bloodline with this Edge match being the thing to close the show. Like, I think you don't want anything overshadowing what we got in our main event tonight. So I thought this interaction was great, and it'll be nice to have Jimmy Uso back to try and further explain his actions. But what do you think of this little segment that we got here?
Yeah, it was fun. I mean, I'm glad that it didn't start the show. I'm glad it didn't end the show. I'm glad it was somewhere just stuck in there, quick, get it out of the way. Like, we don't need. There you go. We don't need to have, the show to be, and obviously because it was Edge's show, we didn't want a lot of the, influence of the Bloodline storyline to continuing to kind of overtake everything and overshadow it. So it was fun. It was fun. Overall, the show was pretty good. A lot of stuff. I'm not gonna say what I was gonna say.
No, I thought it was like kind of the trap we fall into of like a lot of really great in-ring and a lot of really weird booking. But this was all about the main event, which we are gonna get to now, which is awesome. We have Edge defeating Sheamus in what was a really special, bigger than wrestling kind of moment and ending in this. Edge rolling him up and hitting a spear for a great near fall, and then Edge landing another spear for the win. After the match, Edge just extremely emotional. Beth Phoenix looking like she was going to cry. The commentary team just pulled back and just let the moment breathe with Sheamus and Edge hugging it out, which was the perfect call. I think that's one of Michael Cole's best assets is in moment like that. And I think great announcers in both real sports and in wrestling, just letting those moments breathe, like letting the moment just occur and not having to weigh in on every aspect of it. They really did a nice job here of pulling back. I thought this was just an incredible match. If this wasn't like a retirement-ish thing, I'd be like, let's get a feud going. Like, let's run this back a few times, because I think, of course, you're going to kick it up a notch when you have such a special moment, but they had really, really good chemistry. Like, it's kind of crazy to think about the fact that they haven't been in the ring together before. I thought the story that they quickly snapped together for this last week was really special, and I can't say it enough. Like, we can talk about spots in the match. We could talk about, you kind of brought up the moment with Sheamus before of like, I'm not going to pin you. But I do feel like just go watch it. Just go experience all of this, because it was just a really special thing. It was a really, really special thing. And I'm glad it happened. I'm glad it was these two guys in the ring when it happened. Like, Sheamus was a great dance partner for this. Just really, really wonderful stuff. Can't say enough about it. You guys have been sending in your memories of Edge all night. Feel free to continue to do so as we kind of wind up here and flip over into Rampage world. But this was just a really, I don't have a lot of notes on it because I was just watching, just drinking it in. The crowd was really in it. It's kind of cool when it just feels like everybody in the arena, the fans, the announcers, both performers, Beth, me watching at home, you're just in this match for the entire time. Like, you're just very present with what's happening and very aware of the significance of what's occurring. And I don't know. It was something really special, and it's something we usually get on pay-per-view, or there's these really, really big to-dos about it. This was kind of really nice to just have this like odd-free TV, and it just like unfolded the way it did. We got the 1 week of promos that were really sincere heading into it, and then we got this really beautifully crafted by both of these these guys match. Anything you want to add to this?
No, just the fact that, listen, this man gave his entire life to this business, as you saw from the beginning of that beautiful package when he was talking to Bret Hart on that talk show, to tonight letting us know, like, hey, this is it. You know, his contract was up at midnight East Coast time. So he's officially a real free agent, not a quote unquote roster free agent. He's like a real free agent now. So, you know, I think we should just let the man do what he needs to do. I mean, he literally, for God's sake, gave us his entire life for us to be entertained. So I hope that whatever he chooses and wherever he goes and whatever happens, I mean, can we induct him into the Hall of Fame twice?
I mean, it's been done before. I really do think that
him and Edge and Christian as the Brood.
They certainly could. They certainly could. That would be the first AEW one to cross back over to WWE World to
Billy.
get in. Oh, that's right. That's right.
When DX got inducted, Billy Gunn came over.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Piss ass t-shirt company.
Stop.
So, who doesn't remember that when he said it live at the freaking thing?
80,000 tickets later.
I'm gonna meme that right now.
There you go. Beautifully done here, and a lot of credit to Sheamus as well. Just like the perfect person to.
And Sheamus is no spring chicken. Sheamus is 14 years now, whatever. Like, he too soon will be, in this spot. It's just crazy, man. God, we're getting old. This is what this. I know you just. You know why this is special for me? Because I know you mentioned that you didn't watch since, you didn't watch from the beginning, right? From the Attitude Era. For me,
2009 was my.
So I have been watching since that very first episode of Raw in '93, and even before that with my grandfather in Puerto Rico. But and the very first Nitro episode in '95. Like, I've been watching this for this long, and for me to see a person like that I sat with my dad every Monday watching, and we would talk about his matches and all the pay-per-views and the TLCs and everything, like. Everything. The Brood, my God, who wasn't a goth freak in high school in the 90s and wanted to come out of fire like that? I tell you what, man, it's incredible.
Agreed. We've got a couple more chats before we flip over into AEW Rampage World. Feel free to get your super chats and your humper chats in. And before we kind of close these out, we will remind you to subscribe to Fightful Select if there is Edge contract news to be broken and they don't go to like Sports Illustrated or whatever. Sean will be the one to have it, and he'll always get details for you on that at FightfulSelect.com, as well as more CM Punk drama that went up this week, of course, but also a lot of really great news that was underway. We had Kevin Owens returning in a dark match that got announced earlier on. We are trying to get those lineups for you, those cards for Raw and SmackDown when they're reliable enough and in a place to do so. The news of who was behind Leatherface on that atrocious death match.
Don't you dare talk bad about that. That was cinema to me.
Leatherface chased Karen Jarrett away and she was on his side. That was crap wall to wall. I will hear no different, but I will
raised
hear
money. I don't care. It was perfect.
Now, the fact that it raised $100,000 and they donated that to Maui is unspeakably cool and worth every minute of TV time. But man, if there was ever a match that was not for me,
Martin Scorsese would be so upset with you right now.
It's me who already can't watch horror movies because I'm a sissy. Jeff Jarrett, who I can't stand, and can't really go as much anymore. Jeff Hardy, and that was like the least for me thing in the world. But your support here at Fightful is the most for me thing in the world. Will saying, I think Bobby's faction is meant to be heels, but they saw fans' reactions and they might be changing it up a bit. P.S. Don't forget Carmelo Hayes factor. If he loses on Tuesday, Bobby might bring him in. I think Carmelo's going to have a little bit more substantive of a reign. That's just a gut feeling from covering NXT. Like he's had some really great matches. I think we're going to get deeper into this feud with Wes Lee and a little bit more substantive of a reign, because I don't think you want to bring him and Braun Breaker up at this point. probably until Royal Rumble season. I feel like bringing them up and like from now into Survivor Series, like things just get lost in the shuffle because the creative just kind of stalls until we're getting into those WrestleMania storylines. So my guess is you're probably not going to see Carmelo come up there. And I also think Carmelo's just got that star quality that he doesn't. It's so hard to say because Montez Ford has it too. And I'm loving this going on with Bobby Lashley. But like for debuting on the main roster, when you have as complete of a wrestler as Carmelo Hayes is, I think you want to let him fly with the wheels off for a little bit, like before you go worrying about putting him with anybody else, because he is complete is a good word for him. He's one of the most well-rounded talents that NXT has. So good stuff there. But I think you're right on maybe the like heel into face thing. Like I feel like that was happening with Bobby Lashley in the first rendition of the Hurt Business, where he's just so damn cool. You can't help but really like this guy. So we got some more support that came in. Saying, did you notice Paul Heyman teasing LA Knight when backstage with Kayla? Yes, I meant to note that. It was in my notes, but I forgot to read it out loud that we got a nice little LA Knight dig in there. Also saying, if WWE was cool, they should have let him show up on Impact and really sell it, because people really thought Jay looking down the camera and said, I quit. So yes, I don't want to say that they're not fun because they have plenty of reasons to not let their wrestlers show up on other programs. If he was like on Being the Elite or something, just walking by in the background, I would howl. But a lot of people did bite at the news that Jey Uso was leaving because his contract was legitimately up. I think they probably got him locked in a little bit more, but I love them doing things like moving him to the alumni section on the website. Like those touches are all so much fun. I really, really like stuff like that. Our moderator Louis saying they should have Jay show up in the PWG mystery vortex. See, now that would be fun because when he's re-signed and that surfaces in like 6 months, because PWG doesn't release anything for like 6 months, it would feel so like double university. But good stuff. Wrapping up there, we're gonna flip over into Rampage World, which was very, very fun tonight. I wanted to make sure that we incorporated this into our reviews for the next couple weeks going into Wembley. We're going to see how this goes. We have a lot of people join us after Rampage ends, so we might go back to making this a long-form review all the time, but we're definitely going to do it for big shows like this. I know tonight the story was kind of mostly about Edge, but building to the biggest wrestling event of all time, we should probably be talking about all of the programming in depth, and that's what we're going to do with Rampage right now. Bizarro Big L saying, you ain't wrong, Kate. How interesting would ZSJ versus Nigel McGuinness be? Kate, ask Danhausen how to get free stuff. And for your information, my name is a Big E reference. Oh, Bizarro Big L. Okay, I got you. And apparently my boss went to school with Kofi. Oh, that's awesome. Alex, at least it ain't Sean and his glizzy. You're too funny. You're too funny. ZSJ versus Nigel would be incredible. I'm very intrigued by the possibilities around this match that got set up on Dynamite, with Eddie Kingston saying to the Blackpool Combat Club, find whoever you can, because there are so many possibilities and so many possibilities that make sense here, Alex. My initial thought, because I am in ZSJ Stan world, was it would be really cool to have Bryan Danielson announce like ZSJ is taking his place, because they've been aligned to have matches before while Danielson was injured. I feel like it would be a really cool moment to get Danielson on the card, even if he can't wrestle, things like that. Complete just like stand-em aside, it is kind of weird to have Ospreay there and not have Zack Sabre Jr. there, in my opinion. Like it feels like they've been kind of the two like wrestlers of the year outside of your mainstream television that kind of should be there in a lot of ways. Thought we might finally be getting the payoff to him and Samoa Joe. They built out this whole angle on ROH and we never got it, but now Joe obviously has Punk, so that's not the case there. But there's so many possibilities with who the Blackpool Combat Club could align with here. They have Ishii, Tanahashi, and Okada, which is what those silhouettes looked like for sure.
Could be the Brood.
Could be the Brood. Now it could be Edge coming in there. A lot of people are saying Proud and Powerful's return against Eddie is something that could be super fun. And a lot of people bringing up Nigel McGuinness here, pointing out that on FightfulSelect.com for just $5 where you can subscribe. Sean reported that he was taking steps to get back to the ring. Now, let's be extremely clear. He did not say he's definitely getting back in the ring. He's totally going to fight at Wembley. He did not say any of that because Nigel McGuinness had to retire because of hepatitis. Now, Stadium Stampede offers you a lot of opportunity to do some really, really protected stuff. So Nigel McGuinness getting into the mix there is kind of a really, really cool way to let him wrestle, but keep everybody very, very safe because you can control so much. Let's not forget the first Stadium Stampede. We had like the broken crew with the pool, calling it the whole river. That like there were so many spots that you could keep people protected. You had Adam Page on a horse. You had 100 yards of Northern Light suplexes from the Bucks. You had so many things. Now, if the graphic silhouettes are as accurate as could be, Ishii's definitely in there. Like that guy is a very distinct, like bone structure and silhouette. They also look like Tanahashi and Okada. That trio is who faced the Blackpool Combat Club in New Japan the first time around, which is why I put it there. But that could also be a red herring. It's a silhouette. It could be a lot of people. Do you have any thoughts on that specifically? Any guesses you want to throw in there?
No, I'm with you. I have no idea. I've been trying to guess like every time I look at the silhouettes. I'm like, is that, WWE does a good job of like using like, generic creative wrestler silhouettes, so you have no idea who it is.
Vacant. This is vacant.
Yeah, but like right now I'm like looking, I'm like, I mean, one of them like you can see hair. I'm like, come on, guys, like
yeah, that looks like Tana. Like that.
Like, why would you do that? So
looks like Tanahashi to me. I'm just saying.
I think that's the only one, but I mean, I honestly, for some reason I don't want to know who it is. I want to sit there and I want to be surprised with everyone else, who's going to be, watching it or whatever, whenever they decide to unveil it. You know what I'm saying? So that's where I'm at right now. I have been looking into the silhouettes. I did freaking superimpose it. I'm like, why would they do this? Like, why would you give it away this easily? But God knows, we'll see.
Could definitely be red herring. Some people that are being thrown at in our chat. Chris Hero is a name I've seen a few times. Shida is the young lion of Jon Moxley. He's a hell of a wrestler. I don't understand why he carries 2 jackets to the ring. But other than that, he's great. Why are you wearing a jacket and bringing a jacket? It's a weird thing to do, but a fantastic little wrestler. Great. Good stuff in the G1. We have Proud and Powerful, and I've heard this one a few times too. Maybe Daniel Garcia breaking away from the Jericho Appreciation Society, getting initiated into the Blackpool Combat Club in this match could be a lot of fun. Some people saying Kenta. I don't know if Kenta's right for this match, but this is all made the more interesting by, if you follow the Brit wrestling scene, there's a huge indie show with like all of the names that we just named as well. So a ton of possibilities here. We get Brian's choice, Zack Sabre Jr. I love that moment. My little Tecker heart would just be fluttering, but Claudio's choice, Chris Hero, Jon Moxley's choice, Homicide. I completely forgot. Homicide was another name, especially with Proud and Powerful coming into the mix. You could do Homicide, Proud and Powerful. So many possibilities. Thanks for that chat. That was that would be cool to have them kind of like all pick their guy. That's a fun angle, but I just want to see Danielson get on the card, even though he can't fight. Like I want the UK crowd to be able to have that moment for sure. But let's dive in. Kylie saying the Rampage opener humped last chat. Love you all. Well, we love you and all of your support, and you're wonderful and beautiful and perfect. And if anybody is mean to you, I will fight them. That's it. I will fight them like Rey Fenix fought Komander today with Alex Abrahantes at his side. Really, I mean, this match, if you like, as Reg calls it, spot food, this is the match for you. We get the best hits of both guys here. We get Komander doing the rope walk into the shooting star press, his patented move, which looked great. I loved Komander going for the 450 that missed, and Fenix hitting that fire thunder driver, which looked so good for a close near fall, but we didn't get the near fall at the finish here. We get Komander with a spinning muscle buster into the cradle for the win. really fun way to kick off the night. I love when we get either like crazy tag matches to start us off on Rampage because it is late in the week and late in the night. And I love when we get matches like this to kick us off. All those kind of like energetic, super fun, fast moving matches like this are wonderful. For a while there, it was like Adam Cole opens Rampage. That was his spot. And it was the same thing where it was just like, I'm immediately psyched. Loved this opener. What were your thoughts on this?
Same. I felt like they kind of got back to what they're used to. You know, getting back into like the starting the matches strong. These two, my God. I thought to myself, like some of these moves that they were doing to each other, they have a way of kind of like really hiding how they land, because the way they were landing on their heads, it's unbelievable. Like I'm thinking back at some of the moves right now. I'm like, holy shit, like give me more of this. This lucha libre crazy style. I want more of that on Rampage. I don't know why we don't have it, but I think that they have that specific style, and I mean AEW does, and I believe that they should lean onto it. And WCW did it with the cruiserweights back in the day. So I believe that this should be especially with Friday nights, with how late it is, kind of pump that crowd up too, because they're recording right after Dynamite. So yeah, other than that, man, it was, I mean, insane. And they gave each other love at the end of the match, which was really cool. Like
funny you should mention that about the crowds, because where we have seen a lot of these luchadors is on ROH, and ROH has a really funny challenge in that they film before and after Collision. So it's while people are walking in the building and don't want to pay attention, and it's when people want to leave. And there's a lot of lucha action, and I think part of it is for that reason, is to pull the crowd in, kind of like
Smart.
you were alluding to. And I think this is also kind of newer. It feels like all of a sudden we have like this crop of luchadors that's unbelievable. Some of the ROH adoption, I think, played into that with everything with LFI. We've seen Metalik around, and Komander, and Vikingo, and Gringo Loco. Oh my goodness. So really, really good. I feel like as soon as we stopped reviewing Rampage, it really kicked up a notch. So I'm glad that we get to do it tonight and next week. But I do feel like there seems to be a more concerted effort AEW-wise in general, in my estimation right now, where all of the programs are working together to feed pictures. So like there's been women's matches with stakes on it, and that's led into things that have happened on Dynamite and things on ROH that have happened that have had consequences on the Collision women's division. So just nice to see the whole ecosystem working kind of more copacetically than it had. We get two back-to-back video packages, one from Britt Baker, who's talking to the wonderful, beautiful, incredible, amazing Renee Paquette. Britt Baker saying she was the first All-In. She was the first woman signed to AEW, and she will win the first women's championship at All-In, which I liked. I liked her kind of alluding to the milestones that she's had, and she has had a lot of firsts there. Face Britt Baker has not really been for me since Jamie's been out. It feels like a lot of her face turn was predicated on the relationship with Jamie. Kind of feels like she got a little lost in the shuffle, but this was a really nice promo because we're speaking to a very clean story here, followed by QT Marshall saying that he's winning matches and championships in AAA, which he did, which is wild. I did not have QT Marshall winning a AAA title on my 2023 wrestling bingo card, but 2023 wrestling is pretty wild. Johnny TV was shown driving with his tiny dog as well. Makes me wonder if that
was great.
Makes me wonder if that tiny dog will also maybe pull Taya Valkyrie into the mix, because we've seen her with that before. We've seen her as Frankie Monet, I believe, on NXT with the tiny dog. I would be all for Taya joining this whole QTV angle. They were gold together on Lucha Underground. So I'm for bringing that back if that's where they're going. What do you think of Britt and QT Marshall's vignettes and the tiny dog?
It's nice to see Britt, getting back into the fold of things. I don't like face Britt either, but whatever. The more time she's been one that has really worked her ass off to kind of like, get our respect as wrestling fans, like all the work that she's put in, she feels important. She feels like she's part of what AEW's core was and still is, that part of that company that kind of is still there with them. And I like that. And I enjoy that her promos, whether they're face or heel, they mean something now. Like she's so damn good. And I feel the energy when she speaks about being at All In, because you can tell, like, from the jacket and everything, like you see the video package. And I went back and I saw that match and I was like, wow, like I had no idea who the hell Britt Baker was. Sure. And I was like, whatever. And here I am now pulling for her. Like I am doing the DMD and I'm, I'm like, I am a fan. And with Marshall, what can we say about QT, man? Like he's like, I don't want to make this sound bad, but I think since what's his face, Cody left, he's really kicked it up in AEW. QT has.
QT is one of the best reaction-inducing wrestlers like ever. He just plays such a specific role, right, in what he does. But it cannot be overstated how good that guy is at getting a desired reaction from a crowd. He's really, really good at it. I love the QTV angle. I didn't think it was a good spot for Will Hobbs. Like that mishmash felt off to me. But I love the idea of the QTV stable, and I love Johnny Impact and Taya, who, yes, did also have a tiny dog in Impact as well. Same dog in all these wrestling programs. I agree with you. QT is drastically underrated in that specific thing in wrestling.
I love the QT TV. I'm hooked on that. I like everyone that they've kind of put together with that little stable. It's doing great. Whatever he does with Hobbs, I know is going to be amazing. I watched his matches in AAA and I was amazed. I was like, wait a second, this man can go.
Yeah.
I was like so into the match. And again, these are people that I never really paid attention to, obviously, because I was part of just the one thing that I was watching.
Sure.
And now that my palate has been tasting these other plates out there full of food, it's been delicious.
It is. I went on a whole little rant about why it's so important to watch multiple promotions the other day. And it is, because there's different ways to tell stories. It would be like only listening to one genre of music or watching one genre of movie. Arza saying, I like that they didn't mention that QT beat Penta. Yes, I think it was wise of them to omit that specifically. And Koi Stalling saying, should Thunder return at All In and face off the winner? That would be an amazing pop. To my knowledge, she is getting closer to being cleared, but not cleared. That's according to FightfulSelect.com. Best $5 in the biz. That was reported a couple weeks ago. I would love it. And Thunder Rosa should immediately come back in and feel important because she relinquished with the title. So whoever that's for, whoever that's against, I think she should feel extremely important on her return because it's long awaited and she rules. We got some more chats coming in before we move into the next match. Reese Power saying, although they weren't on the show, I'm so glad Swerve finally has a stabby friend in AR Fox. We'll just have to add in Willie Mack to complete the Lucha Underground trio. I've loved, no offense to Trench and Parker, the Mogul Embassy angle has worked so much better. And I just think the world of Swerve. I think him and Darby having... I miss
Trench.
The first 0-0 AEW retired wrestler, I think. Paige Van Zandt at least had a couple matches, I think. But I love the chemistry between Swerve and Darby. They just feel like they're going to have that Triple H Shawn Michaels relationship to me of like lifelong friends and rivals, and they'll be mixed up in each other's lives forever. And I love Nick Wayne being at the focal point of that. And man, Swerve is fun to root for, but he is vicious as a heel. I agree with everything in that chat. I love it. I love it. Good stuff there. And some more chats coming in. Ronald Hollick saying, somehow Orange Cassidy has to incorporate Jon Moxley's Kryptonite and Toru Yano at Stadium Stampede. Bring his fellow Chaos member. That is so funny. Toru Yano, I mean, just a menace to anybody who steps foot in the ring at New Japan. I think maybe Yoshinko shows up. That could have been someone that's in the vignette, just like a nice little blow-up doll situation. But speaking of New Japan, we have a AEW steal from New Japan in the tag team of Aussie Open, your ROH champions, facing the Hardy Party, Ethan Page and Brothers Isaiah Cassidy. In a fun match, finally, Ethan Page is back on my freaking television. I would like him to be in a more substantive program as soon as possible. But this was a great tag match. Aussie Open's so good, man. You have this really fun dynamic with Mark Davis and the way he kind of like bumps and works in a complimentary way to Kyle Fletcher, who just is so impressive at the young age of 24. Incredible sneaky strength. But this ends with Page trying to kind of come into this match, and he eats a double super kick. And then stereo lariat and the Coriolis to finish off Brothers A pretty resoundingly. And after this match, we get Aussie Open cutting an in-ring promo on Adam Page and MJF. Fletcher calling MJF a bad person and Cole a piece of trash. And most importantly, saying they'll never hit a kangaroo kick in their lives ever. Which, if that's not the most heel thing you could say after Wednesday, I don't know what is. Really liked the match. Really want to see Ethan Page in a position of importance on AEW television. But this was all for Aussie Open, and I'm very excited to see this match with them versus MJF and Adam Cole, Alex.
Yeah. Can I be honest? No. I'm a. Okay, then fine. I'm done with my talking. Goodbye.
The next match. No, I'm just kidding. Go.
So. I love what they're doing, though, at All In, but I didn't need this match. I didn't need, why couldn't we just get 2 other wrestlers on the roster? You know what I'm saying? Or whatnot to kind of like go up against these boys at the buy-in. Like I really don't understand, because something bad could happen during this match.
Yes.
And then you're effed.
But I think what happens in this tag match might have implications in the main event. I'll put it that way. I think however Aussie Open wins is going to make one of them question the other's friendship, and you're going to see.
Okay, I see what you're saying. So it's a storyline driven event, because from what I see on X, Twitter, and everywhere else, that all these journalists are saying that, this is a dynamite card with no storylines and just people being put together out of a hat. So, randomizer when you play the video game. So I'm just trying to that makes perfect sense.
I need everyone to listen to me. Okay,
hold on.
I'm getting very serious. A card getting finalized late and having no stories are different things. All of these multi-man matches have stories behind them that have been building for weeks, months, years, decades in some cases. They all have shared motivations. They all hate the other side for reasons. A bunch of multi-man matches getting thrown together is not the same thing.
So the internet's wrong?
Random collections of things. It drives me crazy because they do this with Forbidden Door, too.
I thought the internet was always right, man.
Nope. It drives me nuts when I see that, because there's such a big difference between what happens when you see, like, it's Action Andretti and Darius Martin and a third guy thrown together versus multi-man matches that have storied histories with each other and all have shared motivations. That's what a story is. You have history. You have shared motivations. What?
This makes a lot more sense now. You're right.
Yeah, I am right. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. I have to give you your flowers, young lady, because now that I think about it, there could be dissension. That the Roderick Strong might come down in his wheelchair, 200 yards downfield and try to do something. Like, now I see it. Now, God.
Yeah.
My third eye has been opened. My third wrestling eye.
All the complaints about like Kenny Omega and this like BC Gold. I'm like, because Kenny Omega and Jay White don't have a history.
No, they don't know of each other.
Here.
I don't know if you knew this. This is the first time they're meeting.
Couple more chats. Orion Ben saying, Mirror Alex is proof that watching all graps is good. Yeah. Go watch all of them. Go watch Mid-80s NWA. Yeah. Magic Plus saying, Alex, handshake emoji, John Cena. Marines. One of those is very authentic, and one of them was in like the Marine 6. We move along.
And one of them you can't see.
One of them you can't even see.
It's just camouflage hat walking around the screen.
That's right. We get the Righteous in a creepy ass promo because the Righteous is creepy. All right.
They are creepy.
You got Vincent and you got Dutch doing his weird tongue thing in the background, but Vincent, a longtime ROH talent, a standout, very special in the presentation of what he does, killing it on ROH. Really great story with the Dark Order. I think we're going to be seeing more hints of that. They kind of pried Stu away from the Dark Order, and now the question is, are they going to recruit the rest of the Dark Order and have a massive faction? Are these two groups just going to be at each other for a while? So really, really well done stuff here. And we get the Hardys calling out Aussie Open, which I think is a whole bunch of fun as well. Any comments on these?
No, I'd hope to see the Hardys like do some fun stuff too. I hope they take them with them and do some stuff out there. You know, jump off like the top of Wembley Stadium. I don't know.
I hope they play it cool. But ours, I say
no.
Preach, Kate. When you acknowledge other promotions, you can build matches quickly. Yeah. And quickly by drawing on the history. Remember, Eddie and Claudio got hot in 2 weeks based off of stuff that happened in Chikara like 15 years ago. Yeah, they built the whole ROH title picture around that, in fact. So really just very obvious stories that have a lot of layers. And just because they got announced the week before the pay-per-view doesn't mean the story hasn't been building this entire time. People acting like Kenny Omega and Adam Page haven't been on the same side of things before. Forget that they were tag team champions together. So Bizarro Big L saying, so BCC could have Davey Boy Smith Jr. I think he's not in the best standing with the professional wrestling industry at the moment. Or Ogogo join as well. I forgot about Anthony Ogogo. Both make sense. I honestly feel like they're going to have a battle royal or some other multi-man match to get more guys on the card. I think Darby needs the Pretty Boy Killers. Oh, that would be very fun. Pretty Boy Killers. Really, 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 really fun shout there. They might do some sort of battle royal. It would be cool to see. I would imagine that would probably be a 0-hour type thing as well. But we move along to Sammy Guevara defeating John Cruz, who's definitely not Serpentico. Definitely not. Definitely not an unmasked Serpentico. Definitely just a completely different wrestler than that guy. And not Bendejo either. Similar build. He's what you might think Serpentico would look like with his mask off. But all I can tell you is it definitely isn't him. But he kind of loses in the same way Serpentico does as we get Sammy Guevara, now a very clearly defined babyface, getting a quick win with the Go to Hell. And we also get, speaking of Serpentico, his nemesis and Nyla Rose, who put over John Cruz and not Serpentico on Twitter, saying that she would like to remind everyone that she's a native beast. She's the most dominant champion that they've had out of this division. She was here before there even was a Dynamite. So continuing to keep her strong and at the forefront of things, I think is good, even if she's not in a specific story right now. I like seeing women out of the title picture feel important. We're seeing a lot of really fresh faces, right? We've seen Chris Statlander has a title, Willow winning the Owen. We're seeing Diamante, Mercedes on Collision. Really good stuff here. Anything on this quick match with Sammy Guevara and Nyla's promo?
No, I like the Nyla promo. I can care less about the Sammy stuff, but Nyla promo, like being here since the beginning, I love her. I love Nyla. She's someone that someone that I had no idea who she was. And like, I'm all about big, like crazy women just beating the shit out of each other. You know what I'm saying? I don't know why. I loved Awesome Kong. Something about that stuff, man, just gets me going. Them and spooky witches in wrestling. I mean,
that's it. But even the spooky witches are ass kickers. You like, that are here to lay their shit in, and
which we haven't seen in a while. I haven't seen a lot of spooky stuff going on. Spooky season's around the corner. I don't know what they're doing. I'm not very happy right now.
I hope that they're back in time for Halloween. That's all I can say. I'm intrigued to see where this Chelsea Green interviewing partners thing goes, if they continue it, because I think Piper's a good call, but I think there's still a lot of ways to move on with
good
Chelsea
use of Piper too. She's another one.
Finally, I've been wanting her on my television for a long time.
I know the other one is I can't remember. She left.
Isla Dawn?
No. From WWE. She used to wrestle Alexa Bliss all the time. Gosh darn it.
Nia?
Nia, yeah. I know she might be in the talks again, to kind of like
She might. Anyway, AEW Women's Champion Hikaru Shida. And I think I said that wrong. I like the way that it is said. Hikaru Shida. They give her such a great intro when they say her name with the enthusiasm that they do. Dasha always killing it. And Skye Blue defeating the Outcast Toni Storm. My God, do I love this version of Toni Storm. And Ruby Soho with Saraya hysterically yelling at a lot of points in this match. Loved her saying, stop yelling at them, Bryce, when they were clearly cheating in the corner. That cracked me up. We got a really nasty hip attack from Storm on Skye Blue. I mean, there's a lot of things that people are watching at the Toni Storm hip attack, but it is a violent one. Ultimately, the faces coming away here with the W. And then we get Britt Baker coming down, and we get a melee because women get go-home melees with their angles too. The boys are always having melees on AEW.
Always.
I'm so glad to see the gals having them, and they were good ones. Man, Shida's work rate is so high. I love having the title on someone that can go the way that she can. The Outcast looking really good here too. I love Ruby Soho so much, and Toni Storm. This I'm falling apart movie starlet thing is so
it's working for
funny.
her. Yeah.
I love it. It's so refreshing, and I think it might be the unraveling of the Outcasts a little bit. Like we might see she's falling apart. Personally, I think this whole angle might be falling apart of this whole alliance, but this I don't know, this Hollywood 50s starlet of her just losing herself after losing her title with the curled Marilyn Monroe hair and all this. It's hysterical. I now see why her and Juice Robinson make such a great couple, because they are both just the silliest people in the world, it would seem. At least on screen they are. What do you think of our main event tonight? And might I also point out, this is the third AEW Women's main event in 4 episodes.
Ever since that sign made its way to AEW television, they've been really putting their foot down.
Don't let people tell you years of bitching about something doesn't pay off, because clearly I'm the only reason there's been. No, I'm just kidding. What do you think of our main tonight?
Listen, I believe you. I see something being written. I thought it was pretty good. There was a lot of peaches in this match.
There's a hip attack in the corner. It's kind of hard to miss.
I mean, Jesus. Tony Khan, fuck's sake, you have no shortage of, very talented women on your roster that can kick ass, but also are very beautiful and know it. They work it, and they do the things that they got to do to make sure you know that they are very voluptuous.
It is true. Tony Storm leans into it as the
for real. As of late, I've been noticing that they really I guess they're a lot looser with that kind of stuff on AEW because
and on Rampage especially because it has the later start time, they can get away with it a little bit more, I think. But it's also just a very heel thing to do to flaunt your sexiness as Toni Storm does.
But you're right. I don't know. Is this the end of the Outcast, or maybe they'll just get someone else in after this weekend? Can they reunite and be even stronger than what we thought? You know what I'm saying? I think it's in the cards.
I think it's a good way to maybe keep the title on Shida and let things feel protected.
Sure.
Is Toni Storm and Saraya having some tension? So that's my guess about where it's going to go. But we got some breaking news from Luis, who said that Tony Khan just announced Jay White versus Dalton Castle for Collision tomorrow. That is what we call made for Kate. Dalton Castle's just incredible if you haven't gotten to see him, because he's been behind the ROH paywall.
Wow.
And I guess payroll.
Breaking news. Kate's getting paid to watch Ring of Honor. She's on the payroll.
But my Honor Club subscription is paid for by Fightful, so I will take that.
Breaking news. If you work for Fightful. No, I'm just kidding.
But That was our main event. I love that we got the Melee to go home on. I love that we had such a great night of wrestling and a really, really special moment with Edge. Really, really great stuff.
On this day,
we spoke clearly.
Yeah. We ran through Rampage and Smackdown.
Alexis, plug your stuff and let's get out of here.
Let me plug it like a plug-in. I want to say thank you to everyone. Now, Miss Kate. Thank you to everyone for continuing to follow me and have fun with me on the interwebs. And you guys already know my style. You guys see when I'm pushing buttons, and I love it. For those who don't know and watch the show and then go comment in my DMs that I find later because they're hidden that I'm a scumbag AEW fan, then I love you too. You can follow me on the X Twitter _Alexis Cardoza. You can follow me on the Instagram, just Alexis Cardoza. And lots of fun stuff coming soon, and let's do it together.
Wait until your DMs are full of people that you are allegedly sleeping with that you've never been in the same room.
I've slept with some people already. It's crazy. They wanted to know if I've hooked up with you. I'm just gonna put it out there. I'm not gonna put the tweet or who the person said it.
We've been in the same room once.
Yeah. On top of a coffee table.
Coffee.
Yeah.
And that's about it.
There was a couple other people that I'm not gonna mention their names because they're friends of ours here on the show and other coexisting people. I mean, I probably slept with Rob too, which is great. I don't mind.
That's awesome. Good for you.
Yeah.
Love
it. Thank you for bringing that up because
it's great.
I found them in the hidden DMs section, like where like you gotta like.
Oh yeah, people... no, I just usually let those burn because they're terrible.
Jeez.
Yeah, I'm always like kind of disappointed with the caliber of wrestler I'm sleeping with. I'm like, don't put me with a jobber. If you're gonna make up I'm sleeping with someone, at least let them be like a multi-time champion. But you can follow me at Miss Kate Faye. We've got more great coverage coming to you on Fightful Select. Please go subscribe and leave a thumbs up on this video on your way out. Big week of wrestling coming up, and stay tuned to Fightful Select for more contract news, etc., etc. CM Punk drama, Wembley news. We've got it all for you there on Fightful Select. Have a safe and wonderful wrestling weekend. Stay tuned for the Collision post show tomorrow. That'll have you covered. We're out of here.